What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. This is Hawk Talk on Melrose. I am your host today for this solo episode. My name is Tyler. Yes, you heard that correctly. It is a solo episode, my first ever episode by myself. So bear with me as I'd love to just get into a few topics that I would love to talk about today, which is firstly, what is a realistic expectation for this offense in year one under Tim Lester? Secondly, my general thoughts on some of the bigger games that are coming up on our schedule and how we should be and need to be competitive in those games. And lastly, just talk about the new NCAA football game coming out on July 19th. Guys, before I get into that, though, I'd love to talk about where you can find us. If you haven't already subscribed to our podcast, please do so. We really appreciate the love and support that you guys have given us over the last few months. A lot of our videos have done really well, and so we want to thank you for that. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. We're on every platform that you can think of. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Castbox, and Amazon Music. So once again, guys, please go hit that subscribe button and let's get into the show. Firstly, what's a realistic expectation for this offense this year under Tim Lester? The key word is realistic. So the thing that I want to start off by saying is Iowa fans, we have to live in reality. And that means there's going to be some growing pains. As much as I want to sit up here and Colin and I go listen to every episode, we're so excited for Tim Lester, for what he's about to bring to the table. Just his knowledge, his experience as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator, calling plays, being an actual quarterback. We are so excited because that should result in better production across the board. There's no doubt about that, guys. Okay. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I can assure you we were dead last or within a few spots of being last in most offensive statistical, categories, scoring, yards per play, touchdowns, all that, right? Like we non-existent on offense last year. I don't think that's breaking news, right? I don't need to come on here and tell you guys that. You know that. Um, but like I said, we are very, very excited for what's to come because we believe Tim Lester can be a guy that can change that narrative. Now, what I want to come on here and say is we have to be real, right? Like I said, there's going to be growing pains. This isn't going to be a finished product game one, right? No, we might. I mean, first of all, we've got a Cade McNamara who hasn't been healthy in the last 2 to 3 years, coming off 2 major knee surgeries, ACLs to be specific. So we have to hope and pray that he's a guy that can make it through a 12 games plus schedule, and that's going to be the first and to me the most important thing is healthy quarterback play. That's where it starts. But also Tim Lester implementing this new offense. And I don't want to say new offense because I am skeptical because it's like I still think it's Kirk's offense. We talk about this all the time. Kirk's still going to do some of the things he wants to do or some of the philosophies that Kirk is known for, being conservative, punting the ball, not being super aggressive, taking the 3 points if we've got it. I still think are going to be at play here. And so that's where it's like I have to understand that that's probably not going to change, even though we have a new offensive coordinator. But the main thing I want to say is like, I don't want to put a number on it. Like, I don't want to say, well, we have to be top 50 on offense this upcoming season, because I don't believe that that's really what I'm going to come on here and try to predict. I think that that's unrealistic, to be honest with you, because I don't see that happening. What I do see happening is being more consistent on offense, not punting the ball 8 times in a row, not having Cooper DeJean walk you off against Michigan State because he's returning a punt for a touchdown and should have been another punt for a touchdown against Minnesota, but we're not going to get into that right now. Invalid fair catch signal, my what, still drives me nuts. But or the Nebraska game where we had no business winning that game, but our defensive lineman gets an interception in the last 20 seconds of the game, and we have a backup kicker that walks it off. Like, we had so many, and then basically every game being a one-score game. Those are the types of things that, as much as I appreciate, and we went 10-2, and I love that, because again, the win is more important than how we do on offense. I don't want to have that get lost either. But can we have our offense be the reason we win a game this upcoming season? Because sometimes, guess what? We play a tough opponent, and the defense can't always carry you. We've seen that against opponents even last year. Go look at the Big Ten championship. Our defense played unfreaking believable against Michigan, but we still lost 30-something-0 because we can't do anything on offense. So it looks like our defense is playing bad, even though Michigan had their worst production on worst production on offense they've had all year. What I wanted to say is, can the offense be the reason we win a game? That's more of what I'm looking for with this offense under Tim Lester. Can we get back to running the football? Can we get back to doing some of the things that have made us successful, which is play action pass, which is attempting a deep shot once in a while? These are the types of things that I think can be realistic in year one under Tim Lester. And if we don't do some of these things, then it doesn't matter what coach comes in. It's never going to change until Kirk leaves. And that's the reality of this offense. That's the reality of where this Iowa football team is at right now. Only time will tell. We might not see it week one. And that's where I want to get back to, again, this is not going to be perfect right away. New scheme, new offense, new coordinator, new voices in the headsets, all new signals, things like that. Like, we can't expect a finished product right away. But as the season continues, we need to get better on offense. So yeah, again, it's for me, I know that's a pretty general, those are general statements, and I'm not diving too much into specifics, but Colin and I have already kind of done that a little bit with this offense, and will do so as the season gets a little bit closer. But I just think understanding that we have to be better than what we've been, while also tempering expectations a little bit, and understanding that, like any year, there's going to be growing pains, but especially in a year where there's a lot of change going on, with the offense specifically, I think is important to remember. So that's just my thoughts again on what I think this offense realistically could look like with Tim Lester here this first year. So the second thing that I want to get into, just to briefly touch on some of these upcoming games this season, and namely, obviously we got the Iowa State game at home this year. Obviously love that. So excited for that. It's one of the biggest games of the season, no matter how Iowa or Iowa State is predicted to do. We're talking bragging rights. We're talking shit talking for a whole 365 days for either team that wins. There's a lot on the line, even though it doesn't really affect each team's conference standings or things like that. But they're like I said, it's a rivalry, and hopefully the Hawks can come out on top, obviously, this season. Man, Washington at home this year. Talk about, obviously, a team that, is in the new Big Ten, in the Washington Huskies, a team that made it to a national championship last season. Now, they got decimated with the transfer portal, obviously. If you guys have been following just college football news and recruiting, obviously, and coaching moves, Kalen DeBoer, the head coach of Washington, left for the Alabama job. Why wouldn't he? It's the Alabama job. So because of that, a lot or most of his team transferred out. That, for the players that were supposed to return, there's not many left. They did, however, get Arizona Arizona Wildcats head coach Jed Fish, who I think is a really good coach. He kind of turned around that Arizona team from a team that was horrible to like what was it, a 9-10 win team or something like that. It, crazy considering, the Pac-12 was loaded last year, probably the best conference top to bottom, and they were one of them, which is crazy to think about. So I think he's going to be a really good head coach. And Washington, I mean, they're going to be a really tough opponent, a team that we're not familiar with, a team that is probably going to be pretty dang good on offense, considering I think that's what Jed Fish likes to do with a good defense as well. So going to be a tough opponent. Um, yeah, and I'm excited for that game. It's at home. I mean, that's awesome. You got Wisconsin, Wisconsin at home this season as well. Always going to be a tough game. Last year, again, a crazy game of can't believe we won it, to be honest, at Wisconsin, but we did. Can we, do it again this year? That's obviously always a huge game on the schedule. At Ohio State, another team that, kind of not like Washington, but a team in the Big Ten that we, specifically with the divisions, don't always, in years past, don't always play. Probably be the number one team in the country entering next year and going to be competing again for the national title, in a playoff spot, no doubt. I mean, they've got one of the best rosters, top to bottom. The thing I want to say with, and I'll get to that actually. Let me finish here with UCLA, another team, part of the new Big Ten, coming from the Pac-12, like Washington. And so, yeah, that just another opponent that we haven't played and will be a huge matchup. I mean, I don't know if UCLA is supposed to be very good. I know they lost Chip Kelly, and things like that, but still going to be a huge matchup, an unfamiliar opponent. The thing though that I really want to get into really quick with this is these are what I consider the bigger games of the schedule, right? And going back to a realistic expectation with this offense, it's kind of a one leads into the other, these two topics. The thing that I want to say is under Tim Lester in this year one, the thing that I think will be the most telling with him and in these games specifically is how competitive we are. We have been not competitive at all under Brian Ferentz in every big game that we've had in the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, it has been shutouts, 30-0 losses to Penn State, turnovers galore against these teams. Like, we look horrible. And so I think one of the things that, will provide some like confidence in the team and like fan support is if we can be competitive against some of these teams. I'm not saying we're supposed to beat Ohio State at Ohio State. Can we score a touchdown though? That's the thing that I think I'm looking to see. And that's really what I wanted to get across with when talking about these big games, is just being competitive, getting back to like enjoying these games and not just dreading them because you're going to lose 30-0. That's really what I want to see in some of these games. So obviously you want to win some of these games too. And I think some of them are winnable. Iowa State, Washington, UCLA, Wisconsin, Ohio State's going to be tough. Wisconsin's going to want our number, and Ohio State's like the best team in the country. So lastly, I just wanted to give my thoughts on the new NCAA 25 football game. Guys, I'm sure all of you guys listening are super excited for this new football game. I know I am. Guys, it does come out July 19th on a Friday. If you do pre-order it, though, you do get it 3 days early, which is what I'll be doing. I know Colin's doing. We've already pre-ordered it. I think we're both getting like the deluxe edition as well. Don't care how much money we have to spend on this game. We've been waiting for it for literally over a decade. I think it's been 11 years. I could not be more excited for this game. The trailer did its job. The trailer for any movie, right, or in this case, a video game, is supposed to hype you up, get you excited, get you to pre-order that thing right now. And that's exactly what it did. The graphics look unfreaking believable. The attention to detail, whether it's you could see the Iowa wave for that 2-second clip, you could see the Iowa wave, you can see the north end zone, you can see the water tower, you can see the children's hospital. That's the realistic aspect. Those are the details that I'm looking for in this new game, and I'm excited to see. Um, there's, I mean, you can go look it up right now, all the different game modes that have been kind of, released and talked about, other details like uniforms and just like things that they didn't have in the game back, in NCAA 14 that they do now in NCAA 25. It's going to be an epic game. And the biggest thing that I'm looking for or forward to seeing is it not being a Madden copy and paste, right? And I'm talking about gameplay. And I think that's everybody's biggest concern is, do I think is it gonna feel like Madden? Is it gonna play like Madden? And everything that I'm seeing is they're doing everything they can. Now, obviously, it's the same style of gameplay I'm sure that they're gonna do. It is EA. They're probably, you know, gonna have some similarities in terms of the Madden gameplay, but I know they're doing everything they can to make it not feel like Madden. I know they've got a couple of it's called like campus IQ. I'm not going to get into it, but basically there's like different things that all involves with the gameplay where it's like it, it's like it makes the game feel faster. There's like a composure level for some of your players. So like if a quarterback gets sacked twice, you might not want to throw the ball the third time, or he might turn it over, um, which I think is really cool. Um, there's like a wear and tear aspect to it where it's like if you're giving your running back five straight carries, he is really at risk to fumble or get injured or something like that. Like they're doing everything they can to make this game feel different. And that's the biggest thing for me is if it doesn't feel like Madden, then this game's already a success, let alone all the other details that I just listed off. So couldn't be more excited. The trailer is so exciting. I hate talking about it right now because I know that it's not coming out for like, basically 2 months from now. So it sucks, but it it gives me something to look forward to. That is for dang sure. So like I said, guys, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure to follow us. As always, this is Hawk Talk on Melrose. We'll see you next time.